Regarded as the toughest four-day mountain bike stage race in the country, the Momentum medical scheme Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen, took place in the Koue Bokkeveld, with a race village at the Calais guest farm.
The time of the year, for sure, for us it's important to prepare to get used to the heat and the terrain. And then obviously the race itself, the track is beautiful, the surroundings here are amazing, the people who organize it, Dryland, does a pretty good job, so it's always great to come back to the Calais farm.
One of the local challengers was the computer mania pair of Sasha Weber and Daniel van der Walt.
Should be good. I mean, as I said, we kept it smooth. I think that's the biggest thing about this race. It's such a hard race with the terrain. So yeah, we're hoping to do the same this year.
The defending champions were Tristan Norkier and Marco Hubert.
Yeah, at least we have done it before, so we sort of know what to do again. But yeah, there's always every year different competitors and everyone's getting stronger year on year. But yeah, it's the first big goal for our season, Tankwa Trek. So yeah, me and Tristan feeling ready and super pumped to go full gas.
Stage 1 was a 33-kilometre trail-heavy blast around the Calais farm. The new-look Toyota Mbuko Specialized and Insect Science Safari Essence squads had 3 teams each.
Obviously the riding. It's a really cool route. It's so beautiful out here, and Dryland hospitality is something to experience. Don't know about the 3 o'clock start, but yeah, I love the conditions here. You know, it's hot, it's tough, and I tend to really manage toughness well. So fingers crossed it works out that way this year.
Last year I was racing with another Italian girl, Martina Berta, and this year I'm gonna race with Sara Cortinovis. She was here also last year with another partner, with Tyler. So yeah, I think we are working really well together. We spent 2 weeks already in Stellenbosch together, training together. So yeah, the vibes are really great, and we are looking forward to the Tankwa.
The stage was an ideal pipe opener. Toyota Mbuko Specialized Marco Hubert, Tristan Norkier took the win ahead of Insect Science Safari Essence, Johan van Zyl and Wessel Boerter.
No, I think that was me and Marco's plan. We wanted to ride like we rode last year's prologue, just from the gun go and just ride our own pace. And yeah, we did that, and then we just saw the yo-yo and got bigger and bigger, and we just tried to open up the gap, and the gap opened up, and yeah, we just went all into the finish. Prologue or TT is not my and Marcus type of riding. There's normally stronger guys on the shorter effort than us. We're normally the more marathon, longer type of riders. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to the upcoming days and the longer days, and then yeah, there's 3 big days coming up.
Their lead over Van Zyl and Boerter was 61 seconds, with Hartmann and Seewald of Singer KTM a further 42 seconds back in third. The women's race saw the Decathlon Ford Uno pair of Seewald and Cortinovis take the win ahead of Sanders and Lawser, with Cherise Willett and Isla Stowe third.
I mean, I could remember that you need to be patient, that it's only the first day, and that you need really to collaborate with your partner, and I really found a good partner also with Greta this year. Yeah, sure, I'm very happy about it ended with a first place with Greta, so it was a very nice race.
Seewald and Cortinovis earned the first ascent leaders' jerseys and had 1 minute and 27 seconds over the efficient Infinity Insure team of Losser and Sanders. Fortress Toyota's Stone Willett were 4:45 behind the leaders. The Koue Bokkeveld was glowing in the morning sun ahead of Stage 2. A rugged, rocky testing ride of 88 kilometres was on the menu, with the majority of the stage taking place in the Witzenberg Valley. Hubert and Norkier were in the yellow first ascent leaders' jerseys. Seewald showing off his European champions colours. He and Jakob Hartmann had been in the country for a month doing their pre-season preparation, and they relished this type of riding.
Yeah, it was a crazy day from the beginning on. You have to be super clean because there was a lot of sand on the track and super rocky. We tried to ride clean. Had a lot of luck that nothing happened.
Luck certainly did play a big part in determining the fate of some of the contending teams. The women's UCI batch headed away from Calais 5 minutes after the men.
Yeah, it was a very, very tough day. Isla definitely nursed me today. I can't even say I conserved energy because I gave everything I had, but it was really a tough stage. Also just kudos to all the amateurs riding the Tankwa Trek for their first time. It's not the easiest stage race and not the easiest stage.
Yeah, so unfortunately we were behind Marco and a buck hit him, so we had to check if he was okay, and then we were off the back a little bit through that single track, that super rough single track. Got back onto the front group, And then, yeah, it was just trying to pace it up the climbs.
The thrills, spills and surprises of riding in wild, remote terrain saw to it that the race leaders had to enlist the help of their teammates to try and winch them back to the flying leaders. But try as they might, they just couldn't close the gap. On the western slopes of the Witzenberg Valley, where the climbing is brutally steep, Seerwald and Hartmann laid down the pace.
So after the big climb, we had a small gap, and then we tried to open it up, and in the end, Andy was super strong in the flat sections, and then we could open the gap.
Hartmann, who'd missed most of last year due to pulmonary embolism, was glued to the former world champion's wheel as they powered through the trails on towards Calais, where they claimed a first stage win in 3 hours and 22 minutes. Van Zyl and Buerter recovered from a broken rim to finish second, and Stedman and Turlo were third. The net result was that the Singer KTM pair were the new race leaders by just over 2 minutes, with Joubert and Nokia losing 4.5 minutes due to the crash. African champion Vera Losa and national champion Sam Sanders led the race leaders for most of the stage in the women's race, as much as Seerwald and Kortenovis were content to sit on their wheels and follow.
I think they probably had a better first half of the race and we had a better second half of the race, and then in the last 2 kilometers the marathon riders and us came out and we were way too kind and just let them in the single trail first. But we're learning and we'll not do that again tomorrow or on the last day.
A second stage win for the Decathlon Ford Uno team as they were greeted by their coach Barry Austin at the finish. Lawson and Sanders were 47 seconds back in second, their overall deficit now 2 minutes and 13 seconds. An early start for the riders as they prepared mind, body and bikes for one of the toughest days on the South African mountain biking calendar. 95 kilometres and 2,100 metres of climbing was on the menu. Serious focus was the order of the morning. And then all hell broke loose as they charged away from the start.
At the start of today, I really pushed the pace before the descent. I wanted to go down there first, just knowing like with the dust and everything in previous years and the sun rising that it can be quite crucial to be in front, and for me it's most important just to stay safe now before the big goals are coming up later in the year.
The South African champion had only teamed up with the Austrian champion Bernstein on the morning of the race start. Both had been left without partners for reasons beyond their control. Marco Joubert had withdrawn for the race due to his injuries, and Pritsen led them down the old Gedo Pass, which dates back to 1848, another legacy of master builder Andrew Geddes-Baines. They dropped around 500 metres in 5 kilometres as they headed for the valley floor and the first water point at Graafruit. There was no change in the standings in the women's race. Seerwald and Kortenovis were content to mark their closest challengers, Sanders and Lossa, all stage long, while Willate and Stowe had a plan to execute.
I think we definitely had a plan to kind of stay as close to the front as possible but not do too much work. So like Charisse, we had like a very good plan and kind of executed quite well just to be like just off like the top ladies. So we kind of had a clear run down, and then we did try and stay with the group as much as possible because it is a long way before you start climbing. So we worked quite a lot with Lillian and her partner, and then again a little bit of strategy came into play before we got to the pass where we kind of had a bit of a break.
The men's race was beginning to heat up as they began to up the tempo under the direction of Pritsen. Plan no doubt to try and thin out the big group before the long ascent to the summit of the Merino Monster. From water point 3 to water point 4 at the top, it's 7.78 kilometres with an aching 712 metres of accumulated climbing.
At the climb, just rode a tempo that Hadman was happy with, and yeah, just carried on doing that all the way to the finish. I was quite surprised actually when we were going up that climb. I was feeling really good, and the tempo wasn't that high, but I think the racing from yesterday definitely showed, that everyone was quite fatigued. I knew today was a good day for us because there's wide open roads, easy to move him up, and then I saw yesterday that he can climb. Maybe the descending is not the greatest, but if I get him far enough ahead on the climb, then we've definitely got a shot, and that's what we did today, and I think we managed it perfectly.
The Austrian Pernstein is a former World Tour road racer. He was 10th at the Giro d'Italia in 2020. Pritsen showed his class in rolling under the Biogen arch first, and then showed his partner the lines down the descent at high speed. Tristan Nokia was riding solo after the retirement of partner Joubert. The Honeycomb 226's Dumont Merida team kept the lead all the way to the finish, crossing the line in 3 hours and 39 minutes with Seerwald and Hartmann 2:32 back in second place. In contrast to many previous years, the weather was relatively mild, but this is still the Western Cape in midsummer. And as the morning wore on, the temperature climbed. As did the riders. The Merino Monster is a formidable challenge. while the fastest recorded time from water point to water point is Tristan Norkeer's 35 minutes and 36 seconds of a year ago. Many of the riders would take between 80 and 100 minutes to reach the summit.
You know, all you can really ever ask of yourself and your partner is to give their best, and I feel like we gave it a good shot. We crossed the line, and you know, we got beat by the stronger team, and but I'm not disappointed because I know, you know, we tried our hardest. They did. They got away for us on Merino, and yeah, it was just kind of managing the pace to get to the top, over and home.
It took Koue Bokkeveld and Sevel just over 47 minutes to reach the top, and they kept it together on the rough and fast descent to roll into Kaleo for a third stage win on the trot. A mighty tough day for all the riders was complete. A sense of relief and deserved satisfaction pervaded through the race village. The final stage was in some ways a reward for the tough stages before. A 60-kilometre loop around the Kaleo lands. Trail builder and route planner extraordinaire Ernst van Dijk had laid out an absolute feast of trails for the field to enjoy. For the first timers, the race was a revelation.
They kind of just lifted up the morale after the week. It was a hard week. First time racing here at Tankwa, didn't really know what to expect, and yeah, it was a hard race on the body and first stage race of the year, so it took some time to get into and to learn each other as a good partnership, but I think at the end here we came out quite strong.
In third on GC, Stedman and Turlo of Toyota Mbuko Specialized were in sync and on song on the last stage as they stayed with the big lead bunch over the maze of super single track that led them towards the first water point. Bad luck for the hard-working Loert Goosen, the front wheel flat, setting him back early on the stage. Pritson, who will race the Lifetime Grand Prix Series in the USA later this year, again looked like a man in great shape. There were problems though for the race leaders. Sevel had a puncture, but he and Jakob Hartmann calmly plugged the hole and were soon on their way to overall victory.
We stayed 4 weeks now in South Africa. Tomorrow evening we fly back, so the Tankwa Trek was now the cherry on top. We are so happy to finish it. I think it was a good show in the end.
The stage finish was special as well. Stedman and Turler outsprinting Boerter and Van Zyl of Insect Science to take the win. The champagne shower, though, was reserved for the overall race winners Andreas Seewald and Jakob Hartmann of Singer KTM. Insect Science, Johan van Zyl and Wessel Boerter were 3:20 back in second, and Travis Stedman and Jaden Turlo 6:28 down in third. The women's race was another feisty battle between the top two teams.
Gosh, I mean, at the start, Samantha was going in the front and I was like, okay, she's going like pretty fast compared to the other days. And I was like, okay, I mean, we are used to it from the cross country, so as soon as I saw that she slowed down just a little bit, I went to the front. I knew that there was a lot of single trails today, so I just wanted to be in front as much as possible.
And that's exactly what the two Italians did to ensure that they secured a fourth stage win and the overall title. Sanders and Lawson were 13 minutes back in second, while Leighton Stowe over an hour back in third. Congratulations to all who completed another wonderful Dryland Events edition of the Momentum Medical Scheme Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen.